The Scream Kings are in no way responsible for any encounters with the paranormal, extraterrestrial abductions, eldritch insanity, hauntings, hexes, curses, demonic possessions, cryptozoological sightings, or any loss of sleep from listening to this podcast.
This is the Scream Kings podcast. I'm Nathaniel Darkish.
I'm N.J. Gallegos.
The podcast's temperature is now equal to your body's, so the creatures should not be able to see you. But stress, fear, panic will strike your temperature and you'll be exposed. Sweat, goosebumps. That's your skin trying to cool your body down. So watch for those. Now, stay calm and stay quiet.
Is that Andy or is that Nathaniel?
I know, right?
It was like uncanny.
I mean, that's what I was shooting for, was uncanny, so.
It was perfect.
Hooray!
And that's right, folks. If you didn't recognize that absolutely terrifying line, it is from our movie that we're discussing this week, Alien Romulus.
Yes. First, we need to excuse Max. He had some bad Chinese food that is, well, you know, y'all can use your imagination from there. Let's just say, you know, our thoughts and prayers go out to him in this trying time.
Instead of a chest burster, there's something else.
Maybe a little bit more Dreamcatcher-y.
Oh my god, you're going into Dreamcatcher territory. What were those called? Shit-weasels?
Yep.
Shit-weasels. Excellent. I'm glad that that's what my brain stores up, is shit-weasel. Should we share our very, very good news with everyone?
Why, yes. So we were contacted by a website called FeedSpot that likes to track different podcast things, and they let us know that we are number 8 on their list of the top 60 occult podcasts to follow in 2025. That's right, we're in the top 10, yo.
Top 10! I'm so sad that Max wasn't here to deliver that, though.
Yeah.
Since he's our occult expert and all.
Yeah, it does feel a little weird to bring that up in an episode where we're going to talk about zero occult elements, really. Since, you know, we're firmly in the sci-fi horror world for this one. But, you know, it's still a fun thing to celebrate. Hopefully, we'll have lots of occulty things to enjoy this year.
We'll make it happen. Don't you worry.
You know it. So, you ready to talk about some Alien Romulus?
Oh my god, I thought you would never ask. Yes.
I don't know how it's taken us this long to talk about this movie, because, like, clearly this is like a movie made for us specifically.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was Life, and then it got put on Hulu, so that's where you can watch it for free just recently. So since I'm a cheapskate, that was probably some of it.
Okay, that's fair. But, you know, I maxed it opening night. Immediately bought it in 4K as soon as it came out. I really like this movie.
I mean, I did go twice to the theater, once especially, so I could get the special face hugger popcorn bucket.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I might have gone to many theaters many times trying to get that freaking bucket, and of course the employees took all of them and then scalped them. I'm not bitter.
Not at all. That's why I brought it up, I remember, and I wanted to just kind of
bring up my pain.
Yeah.
Yeah, those you know, those popcorn buckets, freaking cool. But, you know, they seem to send only just enough to ensure that there's scalping and nothing else.
Those bastards.
Yep. Clearly, the demand is higher than the supply. Why don't they do something about that and make some more of that money?
I'm sure they just absolutely hate money.
I know, right? Ugh. Terrible stuff. Okay. So, Alien Romulus came out last year, 2024. Directed by Fede Alvarez, written by Fede Alvarez and Ronald Shusett. based on, of course, characters and ideas from the great late Dan O'Bannon, and was nominated for an Oscar for Best Achievement in Visual Effects, which it totally should have won because the visual effects in this movie are freaking fantastic.
What won? Do you know?
I don't know, but regardless, I'm mad about it.
You should be. That it was fantastic effects, which obviously we will get to.
Maybe it was Dune 2, which also had really good visual effects, but did not have practical face huggers running around.
Mm. And you know what? The problem with the new Dune movies is they don't have Sting in them.
I mean, I guess that's an opinion one can have. But they're really, really good movies. But that's a whole different podcast.
Maybe one day. I did read the book. That's my claim to fame, and watch the John Lynch movie, obviously.
Yes. Good old Lynch's Dune. What a trip. All right. Well, should we briefly talk through the plot of this movie and then dive into all the awesome things that make it awesome?
Absolutely. So, yeah, I'll summarize. Per every Alien movie, Weyland-Yutani are total douchebags, and they're meddling where they shouldn't. So this movie picks up after Alien, after Ripley shoots the xenomorph out of the airlock.
Mm-hmm.
And naturally, they go and get the frozen xenomorph and do some things that they probably shouldn't be doing with it. And our ragtag group of folks from the mining colony of Weyland-Yutani are going to this decommissioned ship, Romulus. Is it Romulus? Remus?
So there are two halves. It's Remus and Romulus.
Yeah. Essentially to get pods so they can go to cryosleep and escape their terrible mining colony that's pretty much just like an enforced work camp.
Mm-hmm.
And they run into a little bit of trouble on Romulus in the form of about 10 million face huggers.
Yep.
At least 6,000 xenomorphs.
Mm-hmm.
And one very frightening offspring.
Yes, which we will get to.
Ugh.
Yeah, and it's a killer good time. I don't know about you, but for me, this is top tier Alien. Really, only behind probably Alien and Aliens in terms of how much I enjoyed this movie.
Agreed. And it's hard to just beat those two because they're the originals, but
and they're perfect.
Perfect, absolute, just masterpieces. But if any of the movies forthcoming from those could put them to shame, it might be this one.
Yeah. This movie really does deliver lots of goods. So yeah, let's just start talking about the things that really work in this movie, and obviously that'll kind of bring out some of the more specific plot details as well. So first thing I wanted to talk about was kind of our main two characters, because appropriate for a film where we have ships or a space station named after the twins that allegedly created Rome, Remus and Romulus. We have essentially siblings as our main characters. We have Rain, our final girl, our kind of Ripley stand-in. And we have Andy, who, surprise, surprise, is a synthetic, but is still, essentially her brother. And this duo is definitely like kind of what adds all of the heart to this movie, and I freaking love them.
Yeah, he played Andy so well, and
yes.
it's a hard role, really, if you think about it, because at the beginning of the movie, he's the kind of, I wouldn't say obsolete model, but he's a very older model of synthetic, so he's malfunctioning. He's kind of glitchy. I don't know if slow is the right word, but yeah, glitchy. And then when he gets his upgrade, he's he's completely different. He plays it so well. He's kind of cutthroat, but he's teeters on the edge of like, is he evil or no? Evil? I don't know.
Yeah, very, very much like, Ash in the original film. He definitely is following his directives. He is very, logic oriented. He's very kind of cold and calculating, but isn't necessarily, evil. He's just doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing. And yeah, that switch from basically, I want to take care of my, adopted sibling to I am, essentially acting like Ash. And then being able to switch back and forth between those several times throughout the movie was so good. He really, really delivered the goods. The actor, David Johnson, just crushed it.
Bravo. I would say he's my favorite synthetic.
Yeah, like
for sure.
I love me some Bishop too, but yeah, Andy I think might have edged out Bishop even.
Oh yeah, easily. One thing I quite liked about this movie is it gave us a little bit more of a glimpse into Weyland-Yutani, since it shows the mining colony and it shows the conditions in which these people live and die in.
Yeah.
It's awful. They're in these. It's like back in the day, whenever people were carrying canaries to coal mines, and there's like disease, pestilence, cave-ins. I mean, it's bad working conditions. I think they need a union.
Yeah, well, and also, yeah, that they have like essentially the company's store, and they have to keep working until they've paid off their debt to the company, essentially. And that is, yeah, absolutely, both, yeah, echoing the, early 1800s, working conditions and also really just doing a good job of fleshing out this whole universe, right? Like, we don't see tons of that. We have lots of allusions to it in the other films. We get glimpses of it, but like this is the film that really made the alien universe feel truly fleshed out. It felt like, there's politics, there's different opinions, there's people living their lives in these really, really harrowing conditions, much more than what we usually see. Because, aliens, we have, what that society would have been already wiped out before the Marines get there, and the movie really, kicks off. Really the only other place I've seen this universe get fleshed out in this kind of way was in some of the novels, and I felt like this did a better job of doing it in a way that felt very grounded.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. Yeah, they did well with that. What else did you like, Nathaniel?
So I have to just gush about the practical effects. Like I said, I'm mad that it didn't win an Oscar for what they were doing, because what Fede Alvarez did was he specifically wanted to hire people who worked on the original films, doing practical effects work. He wanted to do as much of it with practical stuff as possible because makes for a better movie. It's more immersive. It's more real for the actors, and so yeah, they hired these really masters of the craft who've been doing this since the 70s and 80s, and had them come in to create the xenomorphs and create the facehuggers and do all of this stuff, and did things that we've never seen before in terms of having practical facehuggers running around in huge numbers and jumping around, and in a way that the actors had to actually interact with. Like, that's so cool because it makes the experience of the movie so much more real, the acting so much more convincing, and I don't know. I just feel like if this movie did anything right, that is the thing to point to, is that it was scarier because all of this was practical.
I would agree. I feel like this movie is going to hold up like Jurassic Park holds up.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree. Especially, the facehugger stuff is so freaking scary.
Oh God, yeah. They tap it that. Well, that's one of my pro and con, honestly, is how many face huggers there are in this movie.
Yes.
Because honestly, I think of the face huggers probably my most terrifying movie monster.
Yeah, like they're very viscerally upsetting, and the previous movies usually just had it happen really quick. And so then you just have, an unconscious person with it wrapped around them. And that's bad. But, dodging them as they're flinging themselves, through the air at you, as hundreds of them are chasing you down a hallway, they're so, like you really get a feel for their spideriness.
Ugh. And don't forget their nasty little egg, tube that will come out,
Yep.
Oh, bleh.
Especially when that one gets pulled off and it's just already extended the tube all the way down. Oh,
I know. Oh, and they did really good noises with it too. That just makes your skin crawl.
Yeah. The only thing I can compare all of the facehugger stuff to is a video game, Half-Life 2. Did you ever play Half-Life?
I didn't.
So Half-Life games, really, really amazing, but really important in a lot of ways. But in Half-Life 2, there is a section of the game called Ravenholm. And it's this city that got destroyed by these aliens that are absolutely, kind of the Half-Life version of facehuggers. They're designed clearly almost as a tribute to Alien and facehuggers. And they're called head crabs, and much like much like a facehugger, instead of it just latching onto your face, though, it's big enough that it covers your whole head. But yeah, they will just take over your whole head, and then it turns you essentially into a zombie. And it's a city full of those, and so some of it is you got the zombies coming at you. There are some that are more spidery looking, because ordinarily they're kind of a tan fleshy color, but there are some that look more like hairy wolf spiders or whatever.
Ugh.
And those tend to be on the backs of zombies that will fling them at you, and so that whole section of the game is just dealing with those for an hour, and it's just harrowing. And that's what this movie reminded me of, was just the experience of playing through that section of that game. And that was probably one of the first video game experiences where I was a teenager that really got to me, got under my skin the first time I played it.
Yeah, I can see why. I would need an Ativan before I even tried that level.
Yeah, it's a lot. Most of that game is kind of more just sci-fi action, but that section, pure horror.
Ugh. But yeah, sounds good though.
Oh, so good. One of the all-time great.
Kind of going back to facehuggers, just because they carried the movie on their backs, really.
Yes.
Both scenes, the scene where they're in the cryo chamber and the temperature is starting to heat up and these, frozen facehuggers are starting to thaw, and how they're moving, and you just see them getting closer and closer to getting out. And how they swam through the water.
Yep.
I'm not afraid of Jaws anymore. I'm afraid of the fucking facehuggers.
Of course. Yeah, it really tapped into what makes them scary. It delivered the goods on making the xenomorphs, as scary as always, and gave us all of those in spades. This movie really delivered on the scares to a level that, I don't think the series has really ever done fully successfully. The original Alien is a scary freaking movie, but this just took all of the things that made it scary and just turned it up to 11.
Oh yeah, Spinal Tap. See, I get it. I got it finally.
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm here for it.
As you should be. Spinal Tap is amazing, and they're making a second movie.
One day I'll get to it, I promise.
So good.
The scene where, kind of a callback to our intro, whenever they have to heat up the temperature of the room to the same as, what is it, their body temperature, that way they can creep through this room just filled with face huggers. Like, I was so nervous. I'm pretty sure I screamed in the theater, especially when he ran.
Yep.
Just, oh God.
Yeah, that whole scene, just like, edge of my seat, pins and needles in the theater, just going like, come on. I know, like, they're playing me like a fiddle as an audience member, but I am here for it.
It works.
Yeah, loved it. Yeah, all of the body horror stuff in this movie, so goopy and gross.
Oh, yeah, they did that very well this time. They always do. I mean, how do you beat, this face hugger that impregnates you pretty much? You have a chest burster that bursts out of you, acid for blood that dissolves you. You get impaled by xenomorphs, and this takes that, and it was like, hold my beer.
Yep. And yeah, that's kind of getting at, this idea of just what Fede Alvarez does well, right? Like, I really like a lot of his work in the genre, especially when he's, just delivering the goopy, gross stuff. Like, have you seen his Evil Dead?
Which Evil Dead did he do? Is it Evil Dead Rise?
No, Evil Dead from 2013.
Oh, no, I have not seen that one.
Oh, harrowing movie. It is so goopy and gross and body horror-y, and just, I mean, you see someone, like, take a razor blade to their own tongue.
Ooh.
Like, there's a literal shower of blood, or a little rain of blood, I should say. Like, it takes all of the ideas of Evil Dead, and instead of any of the fun, goofy times that you usually get with Evil Dead, among the horror, it's just, instead it replaces all of the funny with just absolutely the most harrowing things that you've seen. So, I was excited when I saw him making this movie, because his Evil Dead is, top tier, like, messed up horror for me, and man, I was very pleased with what he did with this.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to put that on my list to watch soon.
Yes.
So, coming back to the body horror, one of the scenes that probably got to me the most, well, there's several, but one was whenever Navarro has the chest burster inside of her and she's starting to experience the pain, and she gets that handheld x-ray thing and puts it behind her, and you just see it, battering her ribs, breaking her ribs, tearing through her body. Ugh. Because we actually kind of have something like that. It's like a vein finder. You use it for, like, infants and children. And I mean, it's not obviously that sophisticated where you can see bones and your heart and stuff, but you can certainly see, like, veins of it, And so it made me think of that. The other scene that, like, just ruined me pretty much was the Prometheus fire birth scene.
Yep.
Like, I'll never be the same.
Yeah, anything involving, like, the pregnancy, birth stuff was so much in that movie. Like, maybe even a bit too much at times. That was definitely the part where my wife sitting next to me kind of noped out a little bit. And you know what? Fair. Like,
yeah.
I would say, the ending of this movie definitely makes it so this movie isn't going to be for as wide of an audience in a lot of ways. Like, I think, most of this is scary, fun horror that is pretty doable for most people. That last chunk, Nope. A lot of people aren't going to be able to handle that.
Yeah, you need some Tums or something at least to pop before that one.
Or 10 Xanaxes. I don't know. Just something to take the edge off.
Something. That's the only time I'm anti-vax is when it comes to Prometheus Fire.
Yep.
Do not do it. Do not do it.
Yeah, no good. Another thing, last thing that we had on our notes that was just, fun with this movie is just how much it is absolutely a love letter to the Alien series. Even the worst, entries in the series got a little love in this movie. Just, little nods here and there. Little references to stuff from Alien Resurrection. Of course, making big nods to the highlights, especially with the, "Get away from her, you bitch" line and stuff like that.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah.
The best line that has ever existed. Yeah,
the whole audience, in a theater when I saw that just, cheered. But yeah, just sprinkled, with Easter eggs for the hardcore fans, nods to, even stuff like the video game, Alien Isolation, nods to just about everything you can think of. I'm sure, I could watch it 30 more times and find new Easter eggs each time.
I think that another thing that the Alien movies do really well, they kind of remind me of Star Wars, where the more you go back and you watch it, the better the series becomes. Like the first time I watched Prometheus, I was kind of disappointed. Like I was like, I wanted more xenomorphs, I wanted more, something like it. To me, it wasn't delivering. But then I watched Covenant, and I was like, oh, Prometheus is great. Then you watch this, and with the knowledge of what the engineers did and kind of the origin story and whatnot, it builds on itself.
Yeah. Yeah, and in a way that, like, definitely, I think is accessible to people who don't want to go down that rabbit hole, or rewards those who do.
Yeah.
Because, I would say absolutely, the last couple of entries into the Alien universe really have been more for kind of the, very niche audience, I guess. I'd say like they haven't been big crowd pleasers. They got a little too weird. And this one, I think, is definitely much more, hey, as long as you know a little bit about Alien, you can kind of dive into this, and it's going to, take you by the hand and take you on the journey with it. It might take you places you don't want to go, but it's going to take you there.
You'll be on a journey.
Yep. Come with me. That's probably all we can get away with from that song.
Definitely.
Yeah, this movie's just killer.
Yeah, honestly, there's not that many cons, so we can probably breeze through those.
Yeah, let's dive into things that didn't work as well. For me, the biggest one two things. So we'll talk about the Offspring in a second, but the easy one for me to talk about is kind of the way that it brought Rook in. So Rook is basically just Ash from the original film. It's Ian Holmes' likeness being used, via all the fun magical digital effects. When I saw it in theaters, it was really, really Uncanny Valley. I know that like when they had the home release and stuff, they updated it. It looks better than it did when I saw it in theaters, but it's still a little Uncanny Valley. But there is something about kind of using a dead actor's likeness like this that kind of gives me the ick.
Yeah, because you don't, I guess, really have their consent, obviously, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure that, like, I'd be like, yes, put me in the Alien movie, but yeah, I agree. It is just kind of like you think that there would be some sort of like practical effect or something that you could do, maybe, or like take half of his face off or something.
Yeah, like we can have it be essentially filling the same role, but it doesn't have to look like Ian Holm. Like, they could have just had it be another, similar synthetic, and I think it would have been fine. It's really just kind of the point is this is a synthetic that is doing bad things. Like, I think it was, meant to be a loving tribute to Ian Holm, but yeah, I don't know. It kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit, and really whenever this happens, which, this has happened a number of times with Star Wars and some other stuff recently, it just, every time it does, I just kind of go, but, like, would this actor be okay with this? And, like, for me, yeah, like, if I were in these movies, I'd be like, absolutely, sign me up, just, give my family a big old, bag of cash whenever you do this. And hopefully that's what they did, but I don't really know. And that's the thing that's just kind of like, oh man, like, I feel like this is such, like, weird, morally ambiguous territory, and definitely kind of gets into this idea of, like, hey, these giant corporations maybe own stuff or are getting away with stuff that they don't really have a good justification for doing. I don't know. It kind of rubs me the wrong way, even though if it were happening to me personally, I'd be like, yeah, just sweet. My corpse is cashing a paycheck from my family.
I almost wonder if they, like, nowadays they have some sort of clause in contracts that's like, hey, we're going to use your likeness if you ever die, maybe.
They absolutely do. But even then, it's still just kind of like, but, like, is that okay? I mean, like, obviously there are companies that have done worse things. Don't get me started on the second Space Jam movie, which had the likeness of a gazillion movies in it.
I refuse to watch that movie. It's not the first one, so what's the point?
Yeah, I really tried to give it a fair shake because obviously the first Space Jam is one of the all-time great movies. But the second one is, like I expected it to be bad, but it was so much worse, but also so much weirder because, yeah, it was also pulling in basically like, hey, Warner Brothers owns all of this crap. We're going to put literally everything in it, including the likeness of, like, characters from a 1970s horror movie about nuns trying to have sex with the devil.
What?
That is a 100% true statement.
Interesting.
Yeah, they're just in the audience.
Huh. All right.
Plus everything else. Everything else. But yeah, so I don't know. It just kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies a little bit of just like, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Maybe just pay a new actor to do the thing, and we don't need it to look like the old actor. We can go along this journey without having to go down that route.
I agree. This is almost kind of a pro, but when I first saw this movie in theaters, and the part with the offspring, when he's obviously gotten larger,
mm-hmm.
I hated it. I absolutely hated it. Like, initially I thought it was very cheesy. I was like, oh, okay, like, you're just trying to, like, link this with Prometheus. Boo. But then after I saw it again, I realized that I think that is the whole point. Like, he's making you uncomfortable, like, viscerally uncomfortable, because, like, it is very humanoid.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that just, it bothered me on a level that I can't really quantify.
I mean, it's the uncanny valley, like, to the nth degree, right? Like, the offspring is, like, absolutely playing off of all of those uncanny valley fears that are just, like, baked into us as humans. By the way, have I ever shared my pet theory for why we're afraid of the uncanny valley?
No, tell me.
Okay, so, we naturally kind of have a tendency, basically across all of humanity to fear anything that is almost human but not quite. And I think really that goes back, about 200,000 years, when early Homo sapiens were alive at the same time as Neanderthals. And basically, yeah, they were, kind of instinctively fearing the Neanderthals, which were almost them, but a little different.
So it's like an evolutionarily kind of beneficial thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So the almost human but not quite right is, I think, goes all the way back to that specifically. There was about 2,000 years of coexistence between those two species, and I don't think it was very peaceful, and that's probably why.
I can get down with that. That makes sense. Look at you.
Weird things I think about when I had to teach history class.
You had to teach history?
Yeah, the first couple of years I taught history among everything, or like it was just like the one non-English class I taught was I had to teach a world history class, and yeah, I would just spend a lot of time going down rabbit holes like that rather than maybe being the best history teacher. But to be fair, I hadn't taken a history class since high school as well.
We're all learning this together.
Yeah, it's like, oh, the last history class I took was my junior year of high school, so here we go. And I didn't take this one. I took like a European history class, so come along with me, kids. We're going to watch a lot of Hank Green or John Green or one of those guys explaining a lot of history on YouTube. And yeah, it worked out wonderfully.
I'd take that. I'd go to that history class.
Yeah, I lots of weird rabbit holes, but that's me teaching classes I don't know what I'm doing with all the time.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I think for me, the biggest issue with The Offspring, by the way, was that he was pretty fly for a white guy, but maybe not fly enough.
I love you and hate you so much. When did you come up with this joke? Was it just spontaneous? Because if it was, I'm impressed.
I came up with it about 30 seconds ago.
Wow. That was fantastic.
Yeah, I was very pleased, and I was like, well, this has to happen.
I'm so sad that Max wasn't here because he would have just groaned so loud. He would have been so upset.
Yep. I think I could feel psychic waves of his frustration, emanating from, the 5 miles away that he lives from. He doesn't know why he's frustrated at me, but he is.
That's when you know you're doing a good job.
Hell yeah. So another con, while we're still on that topic, I didn't like most of Rain's friends. I don't think we're supposed to like most of them. I think most of them are just kind of terrible humans. But it was hard to cheer for them, which was kind of a weird thing. Usually we at least like a good chunk of the people in an alien movie, at least in the better alien movies. But yeah, I just kind of hated almost everyone in that group. And also, they were kind of hard to understand. I mean, a lot of them had really strong accents, plus some of the sound mixing didn't let me hear what they were saying that clearly. A lot of the characters were a little bit one-dimensional. I don't know. I would say, Rain and Andy, amazing characters. Everyone else, I don't know. They were fine.
Yeah. And kind of a side tangent, but I really wish they just had subtitles at movie theaters.
So if you ask for a captioning device and just don't, have any follow-up other than just saying, hey, can I have a captioning device? They will totally just give you one. Have you seen how those work?
No, I haven't.
So what they do is it's like a little subtitle machine. It's basically like a little screen that's, I don't know, I'm bad at dimensions, probably like 4 inches by 10 inches, and it connects to the cup holder, and it's just like on a long arm. So basically you plug it into the cup holder, the arm comes up, and then you put it and you position it like right underneath the screen for you visually. And it just has subtitles as you're watching the movie. So they have those for people who are deaf or hearing impaired, and yeah, it's freaking awesome. I have some deaf friends, and we've gone to movies with them, and yeah, they just go get a captioning machine from the the front desk, and off they go and watch the movie, and it's freaking rad. And I bet if you just asked for a captioning machine, They would not even question it. They just go, okay, here you go.
All right, I'm gonna have to keep that in mind because, like you said, the sound mixing and whatnot. Sometimes it's so freaking loud you can't hear anything over like the sound effects.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely a trend in like all movies. Obviously some directors are worse about that than others. Cough, Christopher Nolan, cough, cough. But it's definitely just kind of frustrating when I'm like, this person has a really thick accent and it's also really loud, and I understood maybe 4% of what they just said, and I think it was maybe plot important. Yeah, there's just a few times I'm like, I don't even know what this person is all about. I think they're a jerk, but I'm really just kind of picking that up from some body language clues more than actual words, because it's all getting lost on me, and I don't think I'm that deaf.
Or at least you hope you're not.
Yeah. I mean, I know a little sign, but it's not great for podcasting.
No, that usually doesn't work well.
Yeah.
I guess my last gripe would just be it felt a little bit long. Like, I think maybe some of the stuff they could have cut was Rain's douchebag friends.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly.
Yeah. I think that's fair. If they trimmed, I don't know, let's see, it was a 2-hour movie. If it was like 150, would have been perfect.
I really miss the 90s when like movies were just an hour and 30 minutes and it was just standardized,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's there's just something about, a nice tight 90-minute movie. I mean, I love lots of really lengthy sprawling epics, but man, sometimes you just want to get in and get out.
Exactly.
Sometimes you want a movie that you can watch on a work night and not feel like, just you've been beaten with a baseball bat the next day.
Give us what we want, Hollywood. Let's go.
Yeah. No, I like to get through a movie and not go, I needed to pee for 45 minutes.
Ugh, I know.
But I did not want to leave because it was all of the crazy stuff going on. That's the worst thing in theaters. Bring back intermissions if you're going to go over 2 hours.
Oh, yeah. Did they have an intermission during Titanic or no?
I don't know.
Because, I feel like I remember one, but I don't know if it's, me thinking there was one because there was 2
tapes?
Video cassettes. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know. But, Lord of the Rings absolutely should have had some intermissions going on. The only person who brings intermissions anymore is Tarantino, and he just does that to be, weird. Bring back intermissions, cowards.
90-minute movies and intermissions if they're going to be more than that.
Yep.
Those are our demands.
Yeah. I would be way more on board with going to way more movies.
I would too. I do need to look into if I can take my popcorn bucket and get it free refilled or not.
Maybe. If not, just bring it in and insist that it's your emotional support animal. This is my emotional support face hugger.
I'm going to.
Good. And then maybe one of your kitties pops out and you go, just look, I have to eat through the cat hair sometimes anyway. It's fine.
Oh, yeah.
That's just living with cats.
I know I said this online, but an orange cat is the only cat that could go toe-to-toe with a chest burster and have a chance.
Mm-hmm. So that's the only reason that Jonesy made it.
Seriously, they're psychopaths.
Mm-hmm.
But they're adorable.
It's true. I had a big orange cat, and he was the most neurotic cat. He was afraid of everything, and you're like, you're big, and, you could take things on, but he was just afraid of everything and everyone.
Aww.
And had the tiniest little squeak of a.
My God, Wally's is too. So he actually saved my life today because I'm terrified of spiders, and I'm kind of on this Buddhism kick, don't kill the bugs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
and I saw a spider, so I was going to try to, like, coax it outside onto a paper towel, but I was terrified and, like, screaming.
Mm-hmm.
And Wally came over and he ate it. So, I mean, it's not me that was killing the spider, so it's fine. It's kind of the circle of life in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
And he saved me.
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
Good kitty.
He's great. Sometimes.
Oh, yeah. No, orange cats are also the most evil and most unhinged of all cats.
Yeah. And notoriously only have one brain cell.
Oh, yes. If you're lucky.
Well, so screams on a
Yes.
scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not scary and 10 never sleep again. What would you give it?
I'm going to give this like a 7.5. When it does deliver the scares, ooh boy, does it deliver them. I will say, like, maybe it's like, it probably deserves a higher score, but I've become desensitized to most Alien stuff, but it still really got under my skin, so 7.5 for an Alien film is just like, glowing, holy crap, how scary can you get recommendation for me, honestly.
Yeah. All right.
How about you?
I'm notoriously more generous than you, but I gave it a 9.
Yeah.
The sheer amount of face huggers ramps that number up quite a bit.
Naturally.
And honestly, that birth scene, like, I have a little, I'm kind of phobic about childbirth and pregnancy. I like it's like the ultimate body horror.
Mm-hmm.
That's natural, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, I mean, having witnessed that journey for both of my children, yeah, no, that's fair. And I maybe made way too many Alien jokes for my wife while pregnant.
You monster.
She knew what she married.
She knows what monster you are, yes. The only 2 times in my, like, medical career I have nearly passed out have been during, like, my OB rotations. Like, I have a pretty strong stomach, and that gets me.
Yeah, fair. It's a lot.
Yeah.
We can also report that Max gave it a 6 out of 10, which is a pretty strong scream ranking from him.
Yeah, I would say he's the stingiest, and you're like the Goldilocks just right bed, and then I'm generous.
Fair. What would you rank this movie in crowns?
I'm giving it a 9. I think it is pretty flawless, and even the cons, they're little nitpicks. They're not very strong. I loved how it incorporated all of the movies, like we talked about, and it's a love letter to fans, and it's just, mwah. The only way it could get better, the only way I could bump it up to 10 is if Jonesy was there.
Yeah, that's fair. Or some Jonesy equivalent kitty.
Right.
Yeah. I am giving it an 8. I really, really love this movie. I will say that the things that didn't work, I mean, yeah, the way that The Offspring got under my skin gave me a little bit of the ick, and then, the thing I said with the, Ian Holmes stuff does bother me maybe more than it ought to. So those are the only really, like, notable strikes against it, other than just, sound mixing, Rain's friends are idiots thing. So yeah, it's an 8, but I mean, while I'm watching it, it's probably a 9, and then as soon as it's over, it goes back to an 8 because then I think about it too much.
Makes sense. Get in your head.
Yeah. And then Max actually gave it a 9 as well.
That is strong praise from the old Maxi boy.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm surprised that he gave a higher score than I did.
That's true. Yeah.
So here we are.
And we'll never know. We'll never know.
Yeah. Because he is dead now. The Chinese one.
He might wish he were dead.
Honestly, probably. All right. Well, I have looks like a shameless plug from you. Do you wanna throw that at us?
Yeah, so if any of you listeners are, around the central Illinois area and are looking for something to do on May 10th, I think you should come to the 6-year celebration at Tales of a Bookworm. So this bookstore is absolutely my favorite in the area. One, it's a local bookstore. Two, it has a massive indie horror section. Like he has stuff from everybody. He is a big supporter of the indie horror community. And three, you can adopt cats and kittens there.
Aww.
I know. It's dangerous because you go in and you're looking for a book and then you're looking at kittens. So it's a genius business plan.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds like about as solid of a bookstore as one can possibly ever hope for.
Yeah. So, yeah, if you're in the area, it's going to be at 2936 Court Street in Pekin, Illinois, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Local vendors, authors, artists, cats. Did I mention the cats? Come on down.
Oh, yeah. If I were in that part of the country, I would totally come.
Maybe you could apparate.
I mean, I would have to, especially because I have a Jack White concert that night. Oh,
nice.
Yes. So, NJ, how are you staying spooky?
Recently watched Trap since it was now streaming on Netflix.
I'm sorry.
Trap?
I don't know.
Oh, you didn't like it?
I mean, I hate most of Shyamalan stuff, so go on.
I didn't hate it. I mean, do I think it's his best movie? No, but I like Josh Hartnett quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a sucker for any sort of kind of poppy stuff that people make for movies. Kind of like one of the best things about Smile 2 was the made-up music with it, to be honest.
I still need to watch that one.
It's alright. Smile's better.
Huh. Well, I mean, I like Smile. I'm curious about the sequel. But yeah, with Trap, it felt like M. Night Shyamalan was really trying to give us all, the audience, the hard sell on his daughter being a good musician. He only, he certainly tried to do that.
I thought it was better than The Village.
I like The Village. I think The Village gets too much hate. I mean, certainly it was better than, like, most of his movies since The Village, but that is not a high bar.
No. I mean, was his first movie The Sixth Sense?
I think it was Unbreakable and then Sixth Sense, if I remember.
Okay.
In terms of
because, like, you pretty much peak right at the beginning, you got
Yep.
The Sixth Sense and Signs.
I don't like Signs that much either.
Oh, man.
I have strong opinion. Like, I'd say the first half of Signs, great. Second half of Signs, one of the worst things I've ever seen.
All right.
And at least until I've seen, other Shyamalan things that made me more angry.
Not to go on an M. Night Shyamalan tangent or anything.
Let's just say, hey, M. Night Shyamalan, come at me, bro.
I would watch that.
Yeah, and I would enjoy yelling at him for what he did to Avatar.
You remind me of, The Simpsons. Old man yells at a cloud.
Yep, but a cloud actually has value.
Oh. Oh, man. All right. Well, on a higher note, I finished the book Intercepts by T.J. Payne. Have you heard of that one?
I've heard of it, but I don't know much about it.
Great. So, has pretty much everything I love. Shady government organizations, human experimentation, a nice plucky heroine, and kind of a nice little tie-in here is their human experiments are all named after people in Aliens. So the main baddie is Bishop.
Oh yeah, but Bishop is a good.
Yeah, well, I mean, technically, they're. You should just read it. It's you root for chaos.
Okay, I do enjoy me some good chaos.
And what about you?
So I have been staying spooky by doing the scariest thing in life, looking for a job and applying for grad school. Both of those are real scary. But in the horror genre world, I've been slowly making my way through the Witchcraft for Wayward Girls audiobook. That's Grady Hendrix's newest novel. Came out earlier this year, and it's really, really good. It is a little bit slower in the setup, but oh boy, does it deliver the goods about halfway through. There is one of the most harrowing body horror scenes I've encountered in a book in a long time in it, and I didn't expect it to go the direction it did, and oh boy, it was stomach churning. It was a lot in the best possible way. Grady gets lulls you into a sense of security, and then he just freaking shows you one of the most harrowing things you've ever seen on the page. And man, he does it again. Grady doesn't miss. That dude's great. I've also been watching a lot of really fun old thriller movies, and specifically in the last week or so, I watched Cape Fear. And what's that one called? Night of the Hunter. Both of which are really solid old thrillers. Both of them actually have the same actor in it, and he is real scary in both.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen either of those.
Really, really good movie. Good movies for both of them. But yeah, they're old enough that at least Night of the Hunter you can just find online, because it's in the public domain. You can find it on the Internet Archive. Cape Fear, worth shelling out $5 for. Definitely a good one as well. And yeah, so I watched the originals on both of those. I think there have been remakes done for both. But yeah, really fun. Just kind of spending some time in that kind of noir era, black and white thrillers, and yeah, I'm just having a great time with that. My wife and I have been watching several of those, and those two were really standout movies. I can also report from Max, because he wanted us to make sure that we mentioned this for him, how much he hated Heart Eyes.
I want to hear him rant about it.
Yes. So we're gonna have to maybe revisit that next time, because I had heard mostly good things about Hard Eyes, but he just didn't he just basically text us and said that movie is trash.
Yeah.
So
always a critic, that one.
Indeed, and that's why we do a horror podcast together.
Right. The one thing I am very excited to tackle, I have not gotten to it yet, is the new season of Black Mirror.
I need to get to that as well. I'm way behind on Black Mirror because Netflix figured out that I was sharing a friend's account and got mad at me.
Then the police showed up to your house.
Well, they just blocked me out of the account, and now I'm being salty about it and haven't given them money in a long time. But now I have to, because there's also a new Wallace and Gromit movie on there, so I just need to shell out the $10 or whatever. Probably $20 now these days.
Oh, inflation for sure.
Yeah. And of course, get caught up on Black Mirror, and also get my whimsical, adventures of a man and his dog in claymation.
It's normal stuff.
Yeah. That's my childhood right there, watching Wallace and Gromit movies.
Are Wallace and Gromit, are they the same as, the people that made Gumby, or no?
So it's not made by the same people, but it's the same essential idea in terms of, how they're doing the animation. It's the plasticine models. But, yeah, this was a different group, but yeah, yeah, they made Wallace and Gromit first. They made a couple of the shorts, and then they started doing some feature stuff with like Chicken Run.
Chicken Run is great.
Yeah, Chicken Run is a delight. But yeah, Wallace and Gromit is my all time favorite. Especially the second one, The Wrong Trousers. Oh, just peak stop motion animation for me. I can watch that movie a gazillion times, and I have. I've probably watched that movie 200 times.
That's impressive.
I mean, that's what happens when you're poor, and that's one of the videotapes you have.
Ba-dum-bum. All right.
That's my childhood.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It has only made you stronger.
And gave me anxiety. But hey, that's how it goes. Well, any other notable business since we've fully gone off the horror trail and gone down the whimsical childhood movies of my youth?
I will just say we have some very special podcast guests coming up later that we are very thrilled about, but you know, we're not gonna jinx anything and talk too much about it, but y'all are gonna love it.
Absolutely. So in the meantime, while you're waiting for all of these good times, you should maybe stay spooky.
Stay spooky.